Elaine Welteroth is known for breaking barriers. She rose through the ranks of fashion and beauty industries. At age 29, she became the youngest and only second African-American editor-in-chief in Condé Nast history. Now she's just finished her first season of Project Runway, and she's out with a new memoir called More Than Enough, claiming space for who you are, no matter what they say. My colleague Vladimir Duthiers sat down with her earlier. They talked about her career and challenges she's faced along the way. They also talked about relationships, both ones we have with people and with our jobs.
You write about first love, what you call first love, throughout
Yes.
the chapters that you describe this individual, and I think it was so interesting because you made a lot of the mistakes that a lot of people make.
Yes.
If you were advising,
We just don't talk about them.
Right? Exactly. You just don't talk about them,
Leave
right?
it in the past.
And you know, I mean, people need to read the book, but there are so many instances where I was reading, I'm like, why is she still with this guy?
Right?
Like, what's going
Right?
on here, right?
Where were you at in my life? How come you weren't there to tell me that?
Oh yeah, you know, time machine, hot tub time machine. Where are you? But what is your message to young women who find themselves in relationships where they are not being treated with the value and the respect that they deserve? Because it is easy, I think, for men and women to go down a path where you say, well, you know what, I'm either here, I'm going to be able to change that person, or they're going to change,
Right.
or they'll eventually see me,
Right.
and then they really never do.
Right, right.
What to do?
I mean, my message to any girl or any woman or any person who is in a dysfunctional relationship or a relationship that does not feel like it's allowing you to be your best self is to not allow yourself to stay anywhere or with anyone who requires you to shrink for too long. And I've made that mistake. I've made the mistake of staying too long in relationships and in jobs. And I think I tell these kind of I call it first love, and I call the other one, there's also future husband.
Right.
We've all had that one.
Of course.
We thought that was going to be our husband, and that usually ends in an explosion of the heart. I had that, and they happen for you.
And you know, the
Those
reason
breakdowns sometimes happen for you.
It's amazing because when people see you, when they see you on Project Runway, when they see and they hear your story, they think, not Elaine Welteroth.
Right.
Who would ever not treat you like the goddess you deserve to be? Right? That's how I think. Right? So, like, and yet everybody goes through those things.
Me
and it
too.
happens, right?
It happens to all of us, and we just don't talk about it. And there's a shame associated with getting it wrong, especially for ambitious women who want to make things work by any means necessary. And sometimes we take that ambitious drive that we kind of exercise in our careers. We take that and we direct it in this. Let me say that again. Sometimes ambitious women, we have a tendency of wanting to make things work by any means necessary, and it's advantageous to us in our careers, not as advantageous when we apply that to our personal lives and our relationships. And sometimes we're trying to make things work that are meant to break for a reason, to set you free. And I know I've stayed in relationships well past their expiration date, and the reason I talk about it in the book is because our lives are so intersectional. The way we show up in our relationships often dictates how we show up in our professional lives. And so if we aren't careful about setting boundaries in our personal lives, that dysfunction can and will often bleed over into our careers. And it has the potential to stunt us and to detour us from where we're actually meant to go. And it almost happened to me. I made the cardinal mistake that I tell every young person never to make, which is I followed my high school sweetheart to college.
I know. You say you didn't go to an Ivy League, but you could have gone to Stanford. And
that was my dream school.
Right.
And I was a 4.0 student. I was the senior and junior class president. I was, had all these extracurriculars. I was a student athlete. I was the first generation to go to college in my family. And I didn't even apply to my dream school.
You're just like, he's there.
I just followed him. And then when I got there, I found out he wasn't even going to class.
And then with his boys.
And then there's a spoiler, but I won't share
Yes,
it.
don't share that.
But you know, I think about that relationship and how I call it in the book ride or die syndrome.
Right.
We are taught as women, this is what a good wifey looks like. You ride for your partner. You do anything that you do, whatever it takes. You stay in it, even when it hurts. You push through it. And at the end of the day, when you're left with nothing, what was it for?
Right.
And I had to realize, you know what? I got to get out of this car. And I have to go and run my own race in the other direction. And then, you know, in my 20s, when I came to New York City and had this dream job in the magazine industry that I never thought was possible for someone like me from a small town, a brown girl, and here I am in this like fancy Sex and the City world.
Yeah.
And then I thought I needed a partner to match that life. And I sort of sought out the complete opposite. I went for the bad boy when I was young, and that was a dead end. And then I went for the big,
Yes.
the guy who could take care of me.
The Sex and the City reference for anybody who's
I mean, if I'm living the Black Carrie Bradshaw dream, I need my black big.
Right.
And so I went after this relationship that ultimately was really unhealthy for me and my confidence, and it did affect my personal life. And I will tell you, almost the minute that I let go of that relationship, Teen Vogue came along.
Wow.
And I do believe that I was raised in the church, and they always say, don't block a blessing.
Yes.
And I do think when you hold on to things that are not meant for you, whether that's a job or relationship, you are blocking the blessing that's waiting for you. And so I hope that when women and anyone who reads this book, I hope they see themselves in these stories. I hope they can identify with these struggles, and I hope it wakes them up to just the power of what is waiting on the other side of fear, and how and that is meant for you. So I hope it's liberating. I mean, I think this book is so many things. It's not meant to be an advice book, though.
Right.
It really isn't. And I do think that when women tell the truth, I think it does wake up other women to their truth.